Okay, it's 5:30 on the 6th of November. Let's call this to order. Can we get a roll call?
Katrina Kindle. Peggy Patton.
Here.
Ashley Withers.
Here.
Tony Allegretti.
Present. I believe we have a quorum. Ms. Kindle did message me and let me know she was not going to attend, so it wasn't, she did, for what it's worth, we appreciate the forward notice. She said she will be at the next meeting. She had a medical issue this evening, so we wish her the best. Let's move on to B, approval of the agenda. I think there's one, well, no, we're going to leave it the same now. Unless there are any motions to amend the agenda, I take a motion to approve the agenda that's been circulated.
So moved. So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
All right, I think we can vote by affirmation. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, agenda is approved. We'll move to C, approval of minutes from previous meeting, September 25th of 2024. Those were attached to the agenda. Are there any corrections or amendments? Doesn't appear to be. I'd take a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 25th meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, I'll vote by affirmation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes from the 25th are approved.
I did want to mention, it's not a change in the minutes, but under unfinished business, when we talked about whether Mayor Marlin had appointed Tony as chair, and she hadn't as of our last meeting, but as you all know, she has since, so congratulations, Tony.
Oh, thank you, Peggy. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to public input. We don't have anyone in the gallery. I don't believe there'll be any public input this evening. With that, we'll move to unfinished business, section E. E1 is the social media policy process authorization. I spoke with Carla. We had reached out to the city, or specifically the police department, for discussion or a presentation on the policy in general, unrelated to previous instances of social media usage by the department. They were unable to put something together on short notice, but it's my understanding they'll have something ready for the February 25th meeting, as well as TASER. We'll do TASER reviews at that time as well, so we will discuss that. I'd encourage everyone to review the social media policy of the department. There is a separate media policy for the rest of the city as well. Feel free to look at that as well. But
I just wanted to let everybody know that I did place the complete police policy manual in the portal, so it'll be there for any time there's a discussion on policies. You have access to all of them.
great. Thanks, Carla. That's still available on the website as well.
It is, but I just, on Peggy's recommendation, she said it would be easier for everybody to access it quickly if it was in the portal, so I
Okay.
did that.
Great. Thank you, Carla. So we'll take that up next meeting. The comments from the chief and the deputy chief about the previous social media usage was also available on the website. If you haven't had a chance, watch that as well. Though it'll be more about the policy than specific instances of posting. So with that, we'll move on from E1 unless there's any other discussion about social media policy. Okay. We'll move to frequency of meetings. Tom passed around a survey. Kudos to those who were more diligent in responding. I apologize for my lack of doing that, but we did get a result. I don't know if there was a clear mandate here as to when we wanted to have meetings, and Tom, can you explain the,
So what you're looking at, if you still have it in front of you,
Yeah.
is a ranked choice voting. So of the vote totals, if you start left to right, the first choice, 2 people voted for option C.
okay,
For the second choice, 2 more people voted for option C. Now, that doesn't mean you must go with that, because it was simply a survey, but that might be a place to start a motion, and then you can potentially amend your motion.
okay. That's what I thought that meant, I just wanted to clarify. So that had the most first and second choice selections was option C, so then, and then it's kind of all over the map for the rest. So this would be, that February meeting that we're proposing to have set would be the first one, April, June, August. So this is somewhat summer-heavy, but then it avoids probably, the December meeting, we can probably thread the needle around the holidays. And this is also, I mean, we can add additional meetings if we'd like, so this might be a good skeleton.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any, does anyone want to use something besides option C?
Which is February, April, June, August, October, and December, right? Is it? Yeah.
Option C is, yes.
Yeah, so 6. And I thought we talked about, you know, if we added a couple meetings as this model would to our regularly 4 meetings, we could always cancel if it turned out we didn't have enough to,
To discuss.
yeah. But in addition to the deciding which model to move with, I think it would be helpful to talk about what it is we hope to do with an additional meeting or 2. You know, because, I mean, that certainly influences my thoughts about whether, how many and if additional meetings are needed. But
Well, I mean, we can, go ahead, Peggy.
I mean, in just a general way, I mean, I've have often thought that the whole area of the ordinance that talks about spending more time on community engagement around policing, not passively, not showing up to farmers markets and such, but actually being more proactive and having set aside times for the public to engage with the public on their experiences with policing. I feel like that's a huge area that we haven't done anything with, and that could easily take up, you know, if that were, and we'd have to talk about how we would want that structured. I've gone to a couple NACOL meetings where they talk about how they do it in other areas, but this is our area, and, you know, could think about how we might do that. But a way to sort of formally listen to the public's ideas about public safety and police procedures. So, I mean, that was what was behind my thinking of the need for more than quarterly meetings.
Okay.
It just seems like pretty spread out.
So holding a meeting
Eh.
open, I mean, the public is open to these meetings, but you mean having some more of a formal,
Right, a formal invitation and a formal area of discussion. I mean, maybe where it'd be set up so that it's more deliberate, the discussion items are more deliberate, maybe led, facilitated. That would require us to talk about it. I can share what this NACOL webinar I went to, what they were doing that they found helpful, which may not apply to us, but yes, something more than just, you can show up and share your views, because clearly not that many people take advantage of that. But if there was something structured where they felt like, you know,
more of a dialogue, you mean? Okay.
a structured dialogue.
Something like maybe a town hall where you invite the police and the community and the CPRB is facilitating, something like that?
Right. Formally or informally. I mean, some places have done it very formally, where you actually have roundtable discussions, and others it's more informal, but it's a set-aside time. And in some cases, at least in NACOL's case, police officers were invited, in some cases they weren't. You know, there would be 2 different opportunities, separate opportunities, so that the public sometime, you know, would know that members of the police would be here to hear things, and other times they'd know that they would not. But again, this is for us to talk about. I mean, that would take a lot of thinking about it in advance and
Yeah.
coming with some ideas on how we'd like to structure that.
I think it could also be an opportunity, I mean, like what we have with the social media policy, maybe just having presentations by the police on certain areas that they deal with. This is one idea where they just come present. We can have that in a meeting, like we're gonna ask the department to present on something else, the use of some technology or
Or use of force or tasers?
yeah, maybe a use of force, how they go through the use of force matrix or what training they use. And so just more general, not complaint specific or issue specific or incident specific, but questions about that. Maybe something that's more relevant that's been in discussion for the city before, like the use of license plate readers. What's the proposal? How, have a discussion here to engage the public. They can be, maybe they can submit questions in advance or something, and we can facilitate the dialogue through the board. So then maybe that's something we could do, or something else. It doesn't have to be technology. It can be, I don't know, just a walkthrough of something.
Yeah, and I mean, several of the training sessions I've been in as a member of this have been super informative, and I've thought almost every time, good grief, the public, I mean, it would be unreasonable to do it at that level with many people, obviously, but that basic information, I think, would be really helpful to the public to hear about, how those policies are developed and how police officers are trained in some of the taser use, license plates, as you mentioned, some of the other technology.
Yeah, the taser training definitely gives you a better appreciation of when it's being used and how it defers people from getting hurt. And, so yeah, that's an idea as well. So do we think option C, we can, that gives us that option to build that into one of the meetings?
That's 2 additional meetings, which is fine with me, because we could always cancel if it ends up being a busy time and we're having a lot of appeals in between, because, this quarterly was set up so that you could schedule appeals in between.
Yeah.
And last year, or the year before, we did have quite a few appeal nights, but last year we did not, so.
And, I mean, it's every 2 months, which I think is enough time in between to have things to talk about, but not so often that we're just meeting for the sake of meeting.
Yeah,
And,
I don't know.
okay.
I'd agree.
That sounds okay? Yeah.
Well, then let's take, do we have a motion to adopt option C for calendaring CPRB meetings for 2025?
I will make a motion to go with option C, which would mean us meeting February, April, June, August, October, and December of 2025.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we can vote by affirmation on that. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? There are none. Motion carries, so we'll adopt option C as the meeting schedule for 2025 with dates to be, actual firm dates to be set in the future. But we'll meet 6 times. The plan will be to meet 6 times next month, every other month, or 6 times next year, every other month.
Talk at some point about how we might want to structure
Yeah.
these police
Those meetings.
dialogues. Okay.
Yeah, so, Tom, thanks for setting up the poll and using ranked choice voting, everyone's favorite ranked choice voting option, everyone's favorite voting option on this board.
See more of that.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Are you going to use the same timeframe as 5:30 start and the 4th Wednesday of the month?
I think
Are you going to keep that consistent?
that should be
Yeah, I think
fine. That should
tends to
work.
Okay.
Kind of assumed that was how
You
we were gonna go.
you always have an opportunity to try to change it. I wanted to make sure. I didn't want to assume.
Let's stick with 5:30. I mean, maybe over the summer, those hours can be a little more flexible. But I think just during the academic calendar year, that's probably better for everybody. But we can always change that. Any other discussion about frequency of meetings? Okay, let's move on to E3, annual report. That is still on the share drive. Comment is needed by next week.
We would have liked to have had it by this week, but there have been some challenges with the document. And so as folks go in there, I'm recommending that, that they save their changes that they put in, save it to their hard drive, and send me a copy of those changes, so that if they don't save into the document, we can at least put them in later.
Okay. Okay, so save down a copy to your computer or your cloud or wherever you save it, and then send that to Carla with the corrections, so that she can see it. And I would suggest maybe marking it so that she can easily see where you're making the changes.
And you can try and put them in, but I think there were some saving issues when Peggy tried. So you should be able to put it in there. We changed the access so that anyone could edit the document. However, there were some challenges with keeping the information, and so we're just suggesting, go ahead and make your changes, but save it, and then send a copy to me, so in case anything goes awry, we'll have your changes.
And this isn't like a live document, because I think we discussed that before. I think that might have OMA implications if everyone can kind of contribute to one live document, and then we're all on it at the same time. That might be an issue, I think, or that raises some red flags to me, but.
Yeah, it's, there's no case law on that specific issue, but when it comes to technology, anything that would encourage concurrent communications, or in this case, collaboration on a document, which amounts to doing business of
Board
the public
business.
body, not in an open meeting, I think you get into territory that's difficult terrain, so.
Yeah, so,
So would it be best to just have the changes sent to our office? Is that a try?
can we just send it to you, Carla?
Send the changes to me.
Okay. Okay.
Aren't you're able to use the document as a tool, correct? Like edit the document as one person at a time? Can you do it that way? So that the office is not having to continue to download the same changes?
I think
Or
that's cleaner. I think it would be better for, if you would do it that way, in the same document, that the members couldn't see each other's edits and respond or interact to them. So it would have to be, I think, a one person at a time process. So changes that are, suggested, and then either incorporated into a draft and shared with someone else. But logistically, you want to stay as far away from having that sort of collaboration as you can.
Okay. Okay, so we'll still send them to Carla, and go from there. Maybe we can do a round of edits and then,
I can take it out of the portal, which is the access for all,
okay,
and send each member a copy,
That-
have them make their edits, and then return it to me.
okay, that sounds,
That
let's
way,
do that.
no one's working on the same document.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Carla.
Okay.
All right, anything else on the annual report? Okay, doesn't seem to be, so we'll move on to F1, and this is, I'll entertain a motion to move into closed session to discuss a recent complaint. There's been a memo passed around, and the purpose of the session is to discuss the performance of a specific employee. So if anyone would like to make a motion to move into closed session for that, this for the public out there listening, this is not an appeal. We are not taking up an appeal currently. This is regarding one complaint that has been submitted that we are going to discuss.
I move we go into closed session.
Second.
All right, do we have to do a roll call vote for this?
Let's do that, please.
Okay.
Peggy Patton,
Yes.
Ashley Withers,
Yes.
Tony Allegretti.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the motion carries, so we will go to closed session on the second floor. here. Okay, we're back in the council room, having come back from the closed session meeting room. So I'd entertain a motion to come out of closed session and back into public session.
I move to come out of closed session and back into public session.
Second that?
Okay, let's do a roll call vote on this.
Peggy Patton,
Yes.
Ashley Withers,
Yep.
Tony Allegretti.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. We're out of closed session. So having discussed the performance of a specific employee, I'd entertain a motion as to that discussion.
I move, related to complaint 2024-05, that we decline review of the appeal because we are preempted from acting by the Illinois Public Labor Relations Act.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a roll call on this as well.
Peggy Patton,
Yes.
Ashley Withers.
Yes.
Tony Allegretti.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries. We will send written confirmation of the determination to the complainant. We can draft something and have it sent to him at a later date. But I believe that ends the discussion of that particular complaint. So we'll move on to G, Officers Report. Carla, take it away.
Thank you. I don't have much to report tonight. It's been a very quiet couple months. Most of the time has been spent working with the chair, trying to get back to, get our agenda together, things we need to get on the agenda, either tonight or in future meetings. But we haven't had any activities, any outreach activities. So I thank you. I appreciate the conversation on that because I would really like for us to get into doing more outreach. But that is the end of my report.
Okay. Thank you, Carla. Any discussion? Okay. We'll move to H, announcements. The board has 3 vacancies. I don't believe we've had any applications since the last meeting. You can apply online. If you have questions, feel free to discuss that with any of us about what it's like to be on the board. We'd be happy to discuss with you, one-on-one, of course. So yes, there are still 3 vacancies, and we would love to add new residents to the board.
Can I ask, I know there haven't been any applications since our last meeting, but have there been any applications rejected in the last year? I mean, I don't know if you have that off. Because I know that doesn't come to our attention when applications come in and are rejected.
Applications are rejected for the CPRB board. We haven't had any, we haven't had any come in
Do we,
for either rejection or acceptance.
In like a year's time or something, I mean, quite a while then.
Yeah, it's been a while.
do we,
2 years?
do we keep the prior applications?
Those prior applications are kept in the mayor's office because all of them go through their office. There have been opportunity where we could go and look at some to see if someone wasn't eligible for one board, they might be eligible for another. That's how I've been able to get new members to come on. If they didn't choose to be on the CPRB, that I could reach out to them and say, hey, would you consider CPRB? And I've done that before also for both boards that we staff.
Okay.
That could be helpful. Yeah.
Just, I was wondering if we could reach out to some prior applicants and see if maybe they're still interested or.
We did reach out to one. He watched our meeting at that time, and when I reached back out with him, he declined to apply, but he said at the time he was busy, but he said that he would be keeping an eye and he would consider it in a future date.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Carla.
And look at others.
Okay. All right, that brings us to H2, the next meeting. is February 25th, 2025 at 5:30.
And if I may clarify,
Yeah,
when I was looking at the calendar, the Wednesday is actually February 26th.
That's what I was
Okay.
gonna add.
Sorry for that.
Okay, thank you for catching that. Okay, yes, the 26th, Wednesday, February 26th, 2025, 5:30 here at the City Council Chambers. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second?
All right, we can vote by affirmation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Motion's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.